Today we're making a cheesy no-knead bread. Welcome back to the Recipes with Ray YouTube channel. I have just done the wrong thing, but you know what? It's gonna be fine. So you're supposed to mix together your dry ingredients. So you have 3 cups of bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour, that will be okay too. Then you're going to take 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, not active dry, instant, and then 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I used coarse kosher salt. And then just give those a little stir together. And you know what? This is gonna turn out just fine. I'm not gonna put this recipe to waste, so I'm just gonna walk through it with you guys. Then you will add 1.5 cups of very warm tap water. You do not want boiling water. It will kill your yeast and your bread dough will not rise. So the tip that this author, and I'll leave this recipe link down below, used was you take a spatula or have a wooden spoon, you mix together your dry ingredients, and then you flip your utensil over, and I use the handle to stir your wet dough. And you're just gonna mix till everything is combined, and you're gonna have a shaggy ball of dough here. You're not gonna, clearly this is a no-knead recipe, so you're not gonna need it. Once you have your dough mixed together, we are going to cover this with plastic wrap and let it rest for 2 to 3 hours in a warm place. You just don't want it next to your open window when it's cold outside. I'm just gonna sit mine by my oven. You don't wanna place it in a hot oven, but you could preheat your oven to its lowest temperature, shut it off, and then cover this with a towel in that case and pop it in your oven. But I'm just gonna set mine on the counter for 2 to 3 hours until this is doubled in size. And then 30 minutes before we think we're about doubled in size, I'm going to preheat my oven to 450, and I'm going to stick my Dutch oven with its lid on top into the oven while it preheats, because we want our Dutch oven to heat up for at least a half hour. All right, so it's been 2 hours. Yours may take a little bit more, a little bit less. Could take up to 3 hours. It depends how active your yeast is. Like if your yeast is old, it just may take longer to rise, and how warm it is. So one thing to remember when you are measuring your flour is make sure you spoon your flour into your measuring cup. We are using volume versus weight in grams, so make sure you're spooning your flour into your cups because flour will pack down. And so what you're looking for in your dough, I could have told you this when we were first mixing, but it'll be too sticky to mix with your hands, but it won't be so runny that you'd be able to like just kind of pour it out. You can see mine, it's pretty bubbly. And I think it has doubled in size. Let us hope. So first things first, I'm going to flour a clean surface. And at this point, we will need our cheese. So you will need 2.5 cups of shredded cheese, tightly packed, lots and lots of cheese. The author of this recipe likes to use Colby. I am using mostly Colby with a little bit of cheddar, just because I like cheddar. So make sure you go ahead and shred that. And she did make the point that you want to shred the cheese yourself. The pre-shredded comes with like an anti-caking agent on it, and that inhibits the melting that we are looking for. So flour your surface. Let's turn our dough out onto it. And we're going to, before I get my other hand dirty, we're going to reserve 1/3 of our shredded cheese, approximately, because we are going to put this on top, but we want the rest of it to be throughout our bread. So I'm going to flour my hand a little bit, and we're going to make about an 8-inch disc or circle. And then you're going to want to get out a spatula, pancake flipper, or a bench scraper if you have one. And we're going to take about 1/4 of our cheese, put that on top of our dough disc, and we're going to fold our dough 4 times. So we're gonna fold it once, hold the cheese down if you need to. Take about a third of what's left in your big cheese bowl, put that on top. I'm gonna fold that over. Oh my goodness. Okay, about half of what's left in your bowl, put that on top. I'm feeling like I may run out of folds. Oh boy. Okay, and then as much of the last of your cheese as you can. Press that in there. We can put the rest on top. And then I have one more fold to go. I wonder if my dough was a little bit too stiff, but this is going to be very cheesy. Okay, I don't know if it needs to be folded exactly in half. Probably not. That's okay. Now we need to go get a piece of parchment. Make sure it's parchment, not wax paper. Place your parchment next to your loaf, and with your spatula or bench scraper, we're going to roll our dough onto your parchment paper. So the rest of your cheese, oh my goodness, that's a lot of cheese. I have a feeling this is going to be great. We're going to put the rest of your cheese, that third that we took out at the beginning, is your cheese crown. Beautiful. We love to see it. No such thing as too much cheese. I'm going to not use this last bit though. So my Dutch oven has been preheating. While my oven has been preheating, make sure your Dutch oven is in the oven for at least a half hour before you put the bread in, the bread dough in. Very carefully take your very hot Dutch oven out. Grab the four corners of your parchment. Airlift it into your Dutch oven. Replace the lid. And this is gonna go in for 35 minutes with the lid on, and then we will take the lid off and bake it for 10 more minutes. So 35, take the lid off, 10 more, done. Look at that. That's a cheese crown right there. So you do not want to cut into this right away. We're gonna wait at least 10 minutes. I'm gonna take mine out of the Dutch oven though. And I can still hear the cheese sizzling in there. We're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes and then at least 10 minutes. There's still some cooking that's happening. The crust has created its own little oven. And so we don't want to disrupt that. So 10 minutes at least. I think I might give mine a half hour just so I don't burn my mouth when I give this a taste test. It's like a Cheez-It on top. All right, I did wait a half hour. Oh, it's crackly. I just need to cut down the middle. There's a swirl of cheese. Look at that. Instead of a cinnamon roll, we have a cheese roll, a cheese bread roll. I think next time I would make my beginning disc a little bit bigger. I think it was a little too small to begin with. Spread it out a little bit more so there's a little more even distribution of the cheese. But I need to give this a taste test. There's a nice crispy crust. Look at that. It's still really hot, so you're not really missing out on anything if you wait a half hour. Oh, imagine this with some homemade tomato soup. Oh, I have just the recipe for you guys. That's scrumptious. And the top, you have that cheese crust on the top. That is awesome. I would make this again. I will leave everything linked down below for you guys. And that tomato soup recipe, I think that would be good with. I'm gonna pop that right here on screen. and I'll see you guys there.